Hello, everybody. How are you doing? Thank you for coming in. We are going to talk about net sheets. Why are they important? How to use them? Where can you get one for free? And how to read them for the consumers. It's not going to be a very long video, but I do think this is very important. I do not discuss any type of purchasing, listings, or anything like that with any clients if they don't understand the numbers. And the net sheet does a very good job of making sure that those numbers are being understood. Okay. It gives a beautiful graph. It does all of the things, and I really, really enjoy it. They will even give you the net sheet in the view of the buyer and the seller. And again, it's just a very great tool. So I use Chicago Agent. Only a licensed real estate agent can use Chicago Agent because once you download the app, it's going to ask you for your license number. You're going to have to be an active real estate license agent to use this app. And I'm not sure if this is a nationwide thing, but I do know for sure it's obviously a Dallas thing because that's where I'm located. So on the buyer side, at the top, you can click if this is going to be a buyer, a seller, or if you need a calculator or an estimation. We're going to go through all four tabs, okay? So if I had a client that was buying a house, let's just say that house was going to be $400,000. Okay, I can input that home price. And then let's just say we did a conventional loan at 10% down. This spot right here is going to be pre-filled in. It's going to give you the average interest rate. Okay. Now, if your lender tells you, or if the lender tells the realtor or the client themselves, there's going to be a different interest rate for you, you can simply change it. Okay, so you see that my cursor is moving there. I can just back this out. But when you open the app itself, it's automatically going to have whatever the average interest rate is. Okay. You can change the term if you need to, but right here it already has the 30-year term. It even has the broker fee because not only is it going to give the monthly payment, it will also give an estimation of the closing costs all at the same time. So let's just change this to the seller paying just so that we can see it. If the seller is providing any seller's concessions, that is here. If there are any other miscellaneous fees that the lender, let's say they want them to pay their car note off, if there's a credit card that needs to be paid off at closing, you can put that amount right here in the miscellaneous and the system will calculate it. Okay, so this has us closing on today, October 20th. If I wanted to compute this, again, it's going to give me a full-blown scenario, monthly payment and the amount of closing costs, and it gives you a really good graph here. It even breaks down your payment by the principal and interest, which is the P and the I. And the PI for a $400,000 home at 10% down with this interest rate is going to be at $2,100, 2187 and 40 cents. The taxes is based on the area that you select when you download the app. Okay, notice I didn't have to put in an address or anything, but if I wanted to, do you see right here where my little cursor is? I can add an address if I want to, and then the taxes will be adjusted to the address, okay? Insurance, it's given just an average insurance amount, and then the PMI, private mortgage insurance, because we did a conventional loan, this is here. Then it even takes down the closing costs. So the fixed closing costs, the prepaids, and the down payment. When you go to the detail button right here on the left, this breaks it down even further. These are the prepaid closing costs that must be paid, and it gives you the amount on the other slide there, on the other screen. It has the lender fees, the typical origination fees, how much surveys cost, how much appraisals cost, credit reports, pest inspections. It just gives you all of the fees. If you ever want to change or edit those, all you do is hit the edit and then you can utilize that button there and then you can change things. Now, the cool part is when from the consumer side, when you take this information, because obviously this is just on my screen, right? All you have to do is hit share or print PDF, and it even gives you different templates right here on the right. It even gives different templates. If I liked this one, it would change it for me. And it provides information, convenience, how far the grocery store is, a gym, Starbucks, gas, hospital, restaurants. It even breaks it down. These are the nearby schools, these are the restaurants, your walkability score, all of this stuff. It breaks it all down for them. Okay. And then it gives all the information that we discussed. If I wanted to do a home report here, I could switch it to this one. If I want to keep it from the beginning, all of these different things, I get to customize it with all of this. Okay. So let's just say I pick this one and then I want to go ahead and download it as a PDF. Then the PDF comes up. And then I could just print this out and give this to the client. Okay. And now they have all this information, the home report and everything else. Now, if I wanted to go back and let's just say the house price or the situation has changed, our client is now going to go FHA. Okay. So look, the system is loading because I've switched it to FHA now. And the down payment automatically changes. And look at that. The interest rate automatically changed for me. I did not have to do that. I didn't have to do any of that. I do need to change this back to being a seller expense. And then I'm going to compute it again. And then here we go. Now I got 3,600 as the monthly payment. Okay. And now the closing costs have been changed as well. So I can share as a PDF again. And then I just get to pick, whatever home report that I want it to be on. And then it'll print it and it'll be nice and pretty with all the math information. And then of course, if you're adding all of this to it, it will do that as well. Okay. Now on the selling side, let's just say I was selling. It does the exact same type of stuff for a seller, but obviously the information is going to be a little bit different. So here, the loan type, this is what the seller's loan is. So if the seller owns their house conventional, and that same house is still 400,000. Okay, they're gonna incur both costs for the broker fees, no concessions because we didn't do concessions on the last one. And then right here, it's gonna ask what the loan balance is. So the home was 400,000. Let's just say they owe 150,000 on their house. And then we're going to hit compute. And the exact same thing here. It's going to break down the sales price from the balance, the prorated taxes, the total of closing costs, and here is your net, 213 of $54.46. This is literally the estimated amount that's going to be deposited into the seller's account. Okay. So when they ask you, well, if this offer is coming in and they want me to pay title, they pay title, they want seller's concessions, how does that change my overall walk away money? How does that change my net proceeds? What happens? Well, you can change that. So let's just say in this situation, there's $5,000 now in concessions. You just continue there. There's $5,000 in concessions, and we go to our detailed closing costs. The owner's title policy is already on the seller's side. There's a home warranty on the seller's side, and they're paying for all of these detailed closing costs. We're good with that, but we needed to add that 5,000 in concessions. Well, now once you hit compute again, now the number has changed, and it accounts for whatever you're telling it. So when you're receiving an offer, I do send my offers to my clients, but I also send them a PDF of a net sheet because they were not trained to read our contracts like we were. Once we passed our exam, took our classes, and got our license, we are professionals in this field. We know what that contract says. We don't need a net sheet all the time to determine the amount of money being left over. But a consumer doesn't know what that contract is saying. They don't understand how it messes with their gross or their net proceeds. So a net sheet is just a fantastic way to make sure that they do understand and that they can read. Okay. So let's just say I decided to go with this net sheet. It's changing the format for me. So now as a person who's reading the net sheet, it's telling you seller's net sheet conventional because this is a conventional ownership home. It breaks down again the sales price, the closing costs, the balance on the home, and the prorated taxes. And then when you look at this and it says 32,000, let me scroll in. Oh, it doesn't do that, sorry. I'm trying to zoom in, but I can't zoom in. But anyway, so it says $32,884.44 right here. Okay. Well, if you're a consumer and you're trying to figure out how in the world do I have $32,000 worth of closing costs, here are the closing costs broken down for you. Okay. Concessions from the seller, interest on the current home. You were paying for a home warranty on the seller side, the tax certificate, document prep from the title fees, document prep from the title company, sorry, the escrow fee itself, and then the owner's title policy and the commissions, everything totaled together. Those are your total closing costs as a seller. It adds up to this amount. And again, I provide this with for my sellers and my buyers before any contracts are written up, before any listing agreements are taken, when offers are being received. My clients get multiple net sheets as we go on about through a transaction. And then again, over here on these templates, you can switch this up and you can decide I want to do a net sheet that looks like this. And, whatever makes you comfortable, whatever you like, this is what you can do. If you don't want pictures at all and you just want the numbers broken down, but it's the same information either way. Okay, complete same information either way. But you can customize it, you can change it and all that good stuff. It's amazing. So now the calculators up here, this is the next piece. So when you're dealing with like a buyer or seller and they are asking you things like, what is the rent versus buy? Okay, so if my current rent is $2,500, and let's say the home price is 275,000 and I have 10%, or let's just do 3.5% saved. Okay, and we can compute. Okay. So over the course of 2 years, you're going to break even. Okay. But how do you, but again, I can, as a licensee, as someone who's a professional in my field, I can tell someone who's paying $2,500 in rent over the course of 2 years, this is how much you're paying. This is how much you're giving that other person, and you're wasting this kind of money. But over 2 years, if the house that they are thinking about buying is 275,000 and they're willing to pay 2,500 in rent, the cost to buy over the next 2 years is actually cheaper, right? $60,240 versus $60,750. Okay, let's do it again. So let's just say I'm paying rent at $2,000 a month, and the house price is the exact same. So over 2 years, you see how again over 3 years and 3 months you break even. So what this is trying to say is, look, if you go ahead and buy the house at 275, that cost of buying the house comes in at the break even point within 3 years and 3 months where versus you renting. So you spent that kind of money on the renting side when you could have just spent that kind of money owning. Or for my people who have really expensive rents, let's do 3,000 a month. Okay. You would break even in 1 year and 5 months on owning a home versus renting one, paying that exact same amount on that home price. Okay. So this calculator just helps you do all of that kind of stuff. Now, if I go back to my calculators, I could also come back to look at an equity review, multiple offers, and see, even with this, I can compare all the different offers and it's going to ask for all the information and it'll put it into a very nice chart. If I have a client that's trying to get ahead of things and they want to know, what is the market doing then versus right now? Okay. So if the now offer is 400,000, down payment 10%, okay, but the then offer is the exact same, look what it does for you. It'll break this down. If you would have bought the house then, right? If you would have bought it then, the list price is 500,000, your offer would have had to been 5,000, 500,000, because at that point, that was when the interest rates were a little bit lower, as you can see, 4% versus 6.125. You're bringing to close all of this money versus bringing this smaller amount of money to close. And total interest over 10 years, Do you see what it does for you? And it shows if you would have bought it then, you would have saved what, $200 a month? But look at how much cash you would have had to spend back then. Where versus for two extra $100 a month, you're spending a lot less cash. So it these calculators will just help your clients make better sense of what we're talking about. And if you can print this information out for them, add in the tools or add in the numbers and all the information that they would need to make it make sense, then now they can understand, okay, it's not so bad that I'm buying now versus back in 2021 or 2024 or whatever the year that they're arguing with you about. This system helps them do that. Now, if you want to go to the estimates, the recent estimates, it has some for me, but these are just estimates, meaning, is it going to open for me? These are the most recent estimates that I've done, and it just has a folder for all your estimates here. Now, if you want to go further and you want to do the premium side of things, it gives you things that you can post. This is just like current market data and swipables, videos, personalized videos, shareable calculators, things like that that you can post online for clients to view and consumers to look at and ask questions for if you want to go the premium route. But if you don't go the premium route, everybody gets a buyer template for the net sheet, seller, and they get the calculator and they get the estimates. Okay, again, very 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 valuable information. I really can't stress it enough. It is super super amazing, and it helps people figure out, what exactly they need to be doing. They need to understand how comfortable they are or are not based on the numbers here, and then also just reminding them this is just an estimate, right? We're not lenders and we're not escrow officers, we're not accountants or anything like that, but this system allows us to provide a service and give value to those consumers. We can tell you a rough estimate of what you're going to make on your home once you let me pull the value of that home. I can tell you a rough estimate of what your closing costs are going to be or your down payment, with that certain down payment at this certain price with these certain offer instructions, because I can put them in a system like this. It is adding value and it's adding a resource to that consumer. Okay. Now, consumers out there that are watching this video, make sure you're asking your agents, can you provide me with a net sheet? I would like to see the now versus the then offer. I would like to see what my monthly payment could be before we speak to a lender. Can you send me a net sheet? I would like to sell my house, but can you do a value estimation on my home and then also send me a net sheet? Ask those realtors to do a little bit of legwork before you start signing contracts. But these net sheets, again, they're a game changer. And if you're not using them right now in your current business, go ahead and start using them. It's free. This is a free resource. Chicago Agent is not the only app out there that gives you a net sheet. This is just the one that I use with my brokerage. Okay. I hope this helps. Thank you so, so much and have a great rest of your day.